I think the biggest takeaway from their game is, first of all, their engages. When they don't work, Fnatic aren't able to keep themselves going in that forward motion. And in addition to that, you know, Huni did not look particularly comfortable on Gnar. Yes, Febiven had a great, you know, KDA on LeBlanc, but he wasn't finding crucial targets. And you just didn't feel like the team was focusing all of the same champions in their team fights. So they need to learn from those individual and those team-based mistakes to improve upon it today against Giants.
Yeah, I completely agree here, and Fnatic definitely doing the smart thing in the pick or rather ban phase of this all, taking away two pretty crucial choices for Giants, not just the Jax from Warlib, but also Rydell's Thresh. They haven't had too much success without that.
Yeah, one thing you do note from the side of Giants, with Annie and Leona off of the table, the two primary hard engaged supports we've been seeing, with Leona being by far the favorite yesterday, the only two champions that Yellowstar has played this year in the spring split. 3 games on Annie, 2 on Leona. I want to see what he's going to play. While that's on the cards, every other priority pick is still there. Rek'Sai's up, Gnar's up, Lissandra's up, Rumble's up. You know, there's a lot of champions available for both of these teams to decide what they want to get their hands on.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to take their time to decide on what it is, but it's a very difficult situation because in the blue side situation, you give up 2 of those strong picks away to the other team. And I think this is what Giants is kind of banking on. They focus so much attention at Yellowstar. There were a lot of support bans in general compared to what we're used to seeing already in this phase, so it's already shaping up to be a very different game.
Yeah, completely different pick and ban strategies actually from a lot of teams in the last day here in week 3. I mean, we saw some oddball bans out yesterday. Sion was taken off the table when playing against H2K. So support focus, but because of that fact, you've then got all of these high priority lane champions for top and for middle. A first pick Cassidy is something that we're seeing fairly frequently here in Europe, a lot of it last week, and Cassidy's by no means weak, but that is a very brave lock-in. The one thing I do like, it is flex. You don't know if it's for Huni, you don't know if it's for Febiven. Can go middle, can go top. We'll see what Giants lock into, play around their comp.
Either way, it will be a different champion for them, as again, Fnatic, up until really recently, hadn't done a lot different in their compositions. They'd picked effectively 2 sets of champions, and that's about it. Giants, on the other hand, have done quite a lot of different things, and there we go, as they were both left up, the Gnar and the Rek'Sai make their way onto the Giants' picks.
So Fnatic have to have an answer. For them to not take Gnar or Rek'Sai, and seeing how Huni was not particularly comfortable on Gnar yesterday, they need to decide on what their option is going to be. They need to decide what their counter to this Gnar has been. SK had a great strategy when they were running their cannon, and I would like to see how Fnatic pan this out. Do they still want to put Cassidy up there? Maybe go that route. Do you want to put Cassidy in the middle and pick a different champion top? Rumble is still available, something that Huni has also played in the past, when comboed with Olaf, in fact, and he's run Lissandra top lane when comboed with Rengar. So we'll see which route he wants to go depending on the jungler that gets locked in.
They do indeed have some options here now. Over on Giants, what I'm really interested in, just going back a little bit for a moment, is this is the first time Warlib's got his hands on Gnar, and he's still trying to find an identity. The whole Giants team really seems to be, but he has not had much impact outside of Jax, and I want to see what he's able to do on what just about everybody considers a very, very strong top lane pick.
Arguably the best top lane pick. Arguably. I mean, I agree with you that Warlib, as well as the rest of Giants, I mean, Pepinero in particular, again, I just keep contrasting his performances in the online qualifiers leading up to the expansion tournament and then the LAN performances that he's delivered. It's not terrible, but it's not good. Pepinero is not helping his team in finding a lot of these picks. It feels to me like Frederick and Warlib have been doing more work in that regard. So we need to see what Pepe's going to play this particular game. Still unsure where that Cassidy is going. And you can feel the tension. You can see Lozak there in the background chatting away to his players. He said to us yesterday, the goal for Giants is to stay in the LCS. And he said to me backstage that they want to learn and develop in the spring split and come back stronger in summer. But they need to start getting wins if they want to make that happen.
Yeah, they're going to need to start. This is a tall order, though, against this Fnatic team that's only just lost the 1 game. So Giants will lock in a Lucian Morgana bot lane, looks about. Although, we have seen Morgana a couple other places.
Thank you. If you look at Pepe, he's actually got Ghost and Flash hovered for the time being. The Morgana pick is something that we're seeing into LeBlanc's to use that Black Shield to get around and avoid having those roots from the chains, etc. I think we're seeing it from the OGN region of a fair amount, champions rather. And what I like about it is the bait. It can go support if Rydell wants to go that route. You don't have engage of Annie or Leona for AoE, but one Dark Binding, you can lock somebody up. or of course the disengage power of the ultimate. And depending what Fnatic lock in, will allow Giants to flex their champions. So you've got this potential flex Morgana, potential flex Kassadin. 2 more lock-ins from Janna, we'll know definitely where they're going to go.
Indeed we will. So Fnatic waiting for just a moment. There's the Lissandra still up. If they do want to put Fabivin on the Kassadin, it is an option here.
Lissandra plus Rengar is what Fnatic has played with twice before and won with twice before. They are going to use that same sort of pick-focus style. We saw yesterday how well Shook was playing without speed-ups on a Rengar. He was confident, he was calculated. Yellowstar's Janna is going to help Rengar once we get to that mid-game and he can use the Janna passive. But for the time being, you're going to be looking at Kassadin, Rengar, Lissandra to create roaming gank squads. Fnatic are going back to that pick style of play that won them 4 games in a row.
Not only that, Yellowstar really was a roaming beast in their 4 opening games, and even though Janet's not going to be able to do as much damage as his Annies have been, he's going to be able to get wards out quite a lot quicker than he was in the past. This does establish a lot of vision control for Fnatic if he plays it out right.
Oh, I'm trying to remember who it was, but about 2 weeks ago, somebody won an MVP playing a roaming support Janna over in LCK, just setting up ganks, working with the other lanes, moving around with the passive, getting the knockups and the slows in place, and then you combo the CC from Alessandra, knockup from Janna, root from Rengar, and all of the damage that Kassadin can put down. It is a very, very scary combo. What we do see from Giants, they have opted to go for that Ahri pick once again. So we'll be seeing the 3rd Ahri out of Pepinero, and we are going to see that support Morgana. So you've got 2 sort of disengaged supports on the side of Fnatic and Giants, but I think you've got 2, again, very aggressive team comps. Ahri, Rek'Sai want to be throwing themselves into the team fight as well as having Gnar for the backup.
Yes, indeed. Now, by the way, the MVP I think you're referring to was Wolf on SKT, and yeah, he went 0-10 in that game.
Yeah, and again, like in the particular matchup, he just moved around really successfully. If I remember correctly, he was paired up with a Xerath mid. And the thing that was so great is Xerath would get his slowdown, Janna would land a knockup, then Xerath would follow it up with a stun. And they would just combo very effectively. Yellowstar has roamed. Yesterday, Fnatic moved around the map often. They were trying to push the waves out, deny as much CS as they could, and I want to see how they play again. Their entire team comp screams to me roaming and death squad, because any 2 or 3 of those people can blow up a champion incredibly quickly.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really rough to try to contest up against that. We'll see how the laning phase does play out, though, because that's going to have a big impact on it. Now, it's time for you guys to call this one. Go ahead and tweet us at LOL Esports using the hashtag FNCWin or GIAWin. We're going to add up those results and check them on later into the game. Looks like we're getting ready to load it up here. This one is going to be an exciting match. I can feel it.
I'm quite excited to see how Pepinero actually plays this Ahri, because it is 5.2 as a reminder, so she's going to have that movement speed on the Orb of Deception. And once that, exclamation mark trigger from Reignover's ganks comes into play, maybe Pepinero can use that big movement speed to try dodge those baller strikes. So I'm very excited to see how he handles himself in lane and in the mid game. But Giants need to make sure they don't give up too much ground early.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. Reignover's Rengar has been a monster pre-level 6, something that not a lot of Rengar players are very capable of. Yesterday there was a lot of successful lane ganks coming out of Shook. However, Reignover may be interested in getting that MVP Rengar title back.
Yeah, I think the potential is there because you've gone back to a comfort style of play. Amazing also mentioned it on the analyst desk this morning, and it's an opinion I share. Fnatic have played relatively one-dimensional. They've been very aggressive. They've just looked for pick after pick, team fight after team fight. And something that has been leading that way is Yellowstar on an engaged support. This is the first time in 6 games Yellowstar is not going to be the one setting up the beginning of a team fight. So let's see how the coordination goes for Fnatic when Yellowstar's not the main man up front.
Well, they certainly have the tools to do it without him in this particular case. He will provide that passive speed up to them, but when you have a Rengar, a Lissandra, and a Kassadin, once you start getting into the mid to late game, it becomes incredibly difficult to really fight against that without getting, if you're getting in a bad position, you really can't do much. And there's your ward clear. Not having any of it, are you?
No, not for me. Not a fan. So, Reignover and Huni going to hold hands, clear out the Gromp. It appears that Werlib is going to help Frederick with the Krugs. And it also looks like we're going to have head-to-head matchups. So, I want to see whether Steelback and Yellowstar can get an aggressive lead, try to get some trading done with that Janna Eye of the Storm. and how Rydell is going to perform on this Morgana. You know, it's a different flavor again for Giants, and they need to find their identity. They need to stabilize their performances and put up a strong fight against Fnatic.
Yeah, it's hard not just because this Fnatic is 4-1, but that Blitzkrieg style that they have had. Giants have done a very similar style of play, albeit to just much less success, and it's a bit more focused, traditionally at least, on making sure that top lane gets ahead. Now this time, we'll see if Werlib can handle on his own up against Huni's Lissandra. That's also a tall order.
Yeah, it really is. Huni's Lissandra has been particularly good. He's shone on AP mages more than obviously the Gnar, which he played yesterday. Lissandra and Rumble, the two champions outside of Gnar that he's played. But the thing about the Lissandra is Huni tends to be the sacrificial frontline when engaging, goes in with a glacial path, locks somebody up, and even if he does go down, he's going to be able to buy some time, create some distraction, and allow the damage dealers of Reynova, Feathervin, and Steelback to finish up the team fight. And I think Huni's going to have a decent enough lane against Werlib. Got that range, got the CC. He can keep Gnar on the back foot a little bit.
Yeah, there's so many threats on this Fnatic team. Now, in the bot lane, this might be where Giants do have a chance a little bit to get ahead. Steelback and Yellowstar facing off against a Lucian Morgana. It's a fair bit of bullying potential there, but Corki is very popular for a reason.
Yeah, he's got a very, very strong laning phase. He'll also be able to burn through that black shield if he needs to, thanks to having the magic damage. But interesting to note the difference in junglers here. Reynova has already backed, picked himself up his tier 2 jungle item, which is a little more expensive. And Frederick doing a very good job to do a full jungle clear for his first back. So he's got a strong CS advantage, very close to getting to that level 4 as well. And he's also going to be able to pick up his first jungle item, Chilling Smite available, plus some wards. So, small advantage for Frederick and the sustain he's got in the jungle.
Yeah, and again, patch 5.2, it's a little bit more expensive to be able to pull that one off. A little more risk involved in that early stage. Now, Rydell makes a roam up there, but Fabivin is quite wise to this one, and it's actually going to force Audrey back as Yellowstar and Steelback immediately move forward in the absence of that support.
Yeah, kind of odd.
A little bit weird. Yeah.
Rydell spent a lot of time walking up. He was spotted by a ward as well. And truthfully just showed himself in the lane. Slow start for both Fnatic and Giants. They're going to be fairly comfortable. You've got Frederick and Reynova who have the ability to have a big impact in the laning phase. And Frederick's going to start. He's going to jump onto Fnatic.
Vivian, yep. He will pop his flash. Pre-6, no Rift Walk available, so they do get that one.
Here comes Reynova.
But yeah, Reynover's going to try to make him pay for this one. Frederick already very low, gets the knock-up. Here comes Pepinero, but Fabivin jumping forward, and he's going to force the flash right on back. Charm onto Reynover. Not quite enough damage, but Peppy is on the chase. The bullet. Flash, ignite. Is it going to be enough? He really wants to pick up that red buff, and he's going to get it. First blood on the last tick at 5 minutes to Pepinero.
Fnatic overextend in that fight, and a very, very late charm from Pepinero keeps Reynover in place just long enough so that he can get some attacks down. Despite the fact it looked like Frederick was in trouble, it was actually Reynova that gives up first blood. But look at the summoner spells blown as well. Flashes from both Feathervin and Reynova as well as ignites. Pepinero now with red buff is really going to be able to bully Feathervin around, keep those auto attacks going, and stamp some authority on this lane. We talked about Pepinero, how he needed to step up and pick some bans. That's the start that can help him out.
And Ahri proving to be very popular now that patch 5.2 has dropped. Speaking of popularity, Fnatic still holding that fan vote despite the first blood. Ooh, down to the bottom. Steelback with a quick Valk to avoid Rydell's Dark Binding. Sim and Audrey continue to push this one up. Slight slight CS advantage for Audrey right now, despite the fact that he didn't have a support for a moment.
Yeah, this is a wave pushing into Steelback, so he'll be able to even that up fairly soon. But also the Lucian pick, a champion that we're not seeing a whole lot of. You know, Forgiven played it a couple weeks ago, and it's sort of fallen out of favor in comparison to the likes of Graves, who was available this game, but opted not to be played. And we need to see how Audrey decides to use the wave clear and the mobility that Lucian has. Going to definitely need to dash in and out of safety against the very sort of dive-heavy team comp that Fnatic have put together.
Yeah, but however, as we saw in that last little scuffle in the mid lane, it can be a double-edged sword for Fnatic just a little bit. So they're going to have to be careful. They may have a lot of explosive potential, but they also have a lot of potential to be exploded.
Well worded, actually. I like that. Again,
anytime you get double explosions, it's usually a good sign.
Squishy front line. And the one thing I do like about Pepinero, he picked up that blasting one. thanks to the First Blood, and he's obviously got the Null Magic Mantle, so he's going to be working towards that Abyssal Scepter, which is fast becoming the norm in the LCS on 5.2. But it's just really, really smart. Going to be able to out-trade Fibin thanks to the additional MR, and obviously have that spike in damage. We've seen the defensive starts taking priority since DFG has been removed from the game.
Many have argued that it's actually making Ahri a lot stronger, just with those movement speed boosts itself. I mean, it's definitely changed the dynamic of the champion quite a bit. It's
a mini built-in ghost, and it has been incredibly effective. It actually saved a few lives yesterday, so it's hard to argue against it. But we need to see how the numbers shape out and how Ahri continues to perform both on live and in the LCS. But Giants got a small lead. CS numbers even across the board. I'm still fairly impressed with Frederick's Rek'Sai, farming up well. Has had a positive impact in that middle lane, punishing Fnatic's misplay, really, is what it boiled down to. But we need to see, he's about to get access to that Void Rush. We may be hearing some farm alarms, we may be hearing some ganks. Thank you, Rivington, for that one. And we'll need to see how aggressively Giants can play, because this is just a really standard start.
Yeah, there's really not much else to say about it, too. And considering how Fnatic have been so gung-ho and crazy, perhaps that one loss did happen to be a bit of a wake-up for them. Here we go. There is that Rek'Sai Void Rush, along with Pepinero accompanying as they move their way up to topside.
And notice the moment you hear that Queen of the Xerxai scream, Reignover backed away. There is a Mega Gnar in play as well as backup. Huni's trying to bait, but he doesn't realize Giants are going to commit to this fight.
Ooh, he's going to go big Gnar onto Huni. Actually, the house is blocked by Reignover. Here comes Frederick, though. Whirlib was the bait. Here comes Pepinero. It's a 3v2. Frederick coming up with a kill, and Whirlib getting out safe. They get themselves a double, and 2 for none, just like that.
I'm going to quote Amazing, and I'm going to say it again. Fnatic commit, Fnatic want fight. They've played the same champions, they've played multiple times already, and Giants are reading it very well. They were set up for the counter gank, they punished Reignover for committing to that one, and Giants are reading Fnatic like a book. They're off to a fantastic start.
It's a great point there, and they seem to be a much more cerebral Giants than we're used to seeing. Let's take a look at that again.
Yeah, they definitely are more cerebral. You can see on the minimap, you've got Frederick as well as Pepinero waiting in the wings. Reignover even knew that was going to happen because he backed off, but we're fighting bottom.
Yep, teleport coming in now for Vivian Yellowstar. Steel back all there. They're going to back away from this one as they see Whirlib coming in. But Giants, they built themselves up this lead. They're starting to make some action happen. Looking like they were interested in this dragon. 2,000 gold in the lead. It's just about 10 minutes in, and all 5 members of Giants are going to commit to this.
Yeah, I think Fnatic are going to be able to trade the top tower, though, so that's not a terrible trade. They'll close that global gold even marginally, but it does give Giants control of the Dragon Pit. I really like what Giants are doing, but keep in mind, they need to continue this lead. They need to continue pushing Fnatic back and taking towers ideally. Because if they don't, the scaling of Fnatic's comp, I think, has the risk of clawing back 1,400 gold lead. It's not massive at this point. But Giants are doing what they need to ensure they've won this early game.
Yeah, well, Fnatic do have the tools to thunder back in. That's absolutely true. And a lot of these champions being very item dependent, it doesn't matter too much if they don't get too many picks, but they are going to want to hunt for them. They're in that mindset still, and it's burned them for 3 kills so far.
Yeah, and I want to highlight as well, the top tower did not actually fall. It's dropped to 140 hit points. So Giants not only got those kills, but they got the dragon and they didn't lose global gold yet. I don't think it's going to be a long time before it goes down, but again, just the right plays. Whirlib used that teleport to get back to lane to farm. Huni's teleport in the bottom lane, used somewhat aggressively, ended up scoring them nothing. It cost Huni some farm, and obviously pressure on the dragon, which is why Giants punished. They knew Huni couldn't respond. Look at the vision from Giants. It is still very defensive. All of those tunnels and all of the wards on the inside of Giants jungle. They're anticipating Reignover and Huni to gank and go in their buffs. Reignover, however, he's going through the lane.
Yep, Rydell's going to realize something is up. The jump is on. They're going to start chunking him down pretty low. Here we go. Jump right out of the bush. Flash is used. Oh, Audrey stayed a little too long. There we go. Steal back. Picks one back up, and Audrey backs away with half his health.
So very, very well played from Reignover. I actually think Rydell was holding the black shield to figure out which target Reignover was going to jump onto, and he unfortunately was not able to black shield himself quickly enough. So he ended up getting rooted. You saw the black shield after he was rooted. It wasn't enough. Rydell goes down. A great knock-up from Yellowstar as well, catching both members of Giants, and Fnatic get their first kill on the board.
Yep, they're definitely going to need a little bit extra gold there. They grab some for their AD carry. Steal back. Not in too bad a position right now, sitting on 2 pieces of that Trinity Force. Meanwhile, the mid lane's been actually rather quiet since that early game set of shenanigans.
Yeah, you somewhat expect that, primarily because there has to be a really big misplay from Kassadin into Ahri for somebody to go down. There's so much mobility on both sides of the lane. Kassadin's going to be able to farm relatively safely thanks to that magic shield, but you've actually got to give a little bit of props to Febiven because his opponent got red buff and first blood and an early blasting wand, yet Pepinier's not been able to bully Febiven out of lane, not been able to use those auto attacks in the red buff to keep Kassadin down. So keeping himself relevant. Rod of Ages should be completed very, very soon, sitting on 900 gold, so should start that one stacking. And it's actually Fnatic that has got the tower and map pressure, because remember, top tower is 140 HP, bottom tower is down to fairly similar numbers, and Fnatic are getting a lot of threat on the objectives of Giants.
Yeah, they certainly know how to play a little bit better from behind than some of the teams in this European LCS. So right now, they weren't too perturbed by the little 1-2 punch early game. They were able to trade a little bit more back. Yes, they haven't picked up on the global goal just yet in that bottom and the top, but it's very close. And there's really nothing to contest for right now, so it's not hurting them that they don't have it at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think if you look at Fnatic's game yesterday against Unicorns of Love, Fnatic thwarted the Unicorns of Love early game. They responded to all of the Unicorns' ganks and dives and came out ahead, but then they lost in the late game. It's now the reverse. Fnatic are in trouble in the early game. Here comes Frederick.
Huni's in trouble himself. The knock-up, he's going to flash away from that one. Werlib still thinking about chasing, and he goes. Big Gnar, but there is the Frozen Tomb. They'll find him anyways. Werlib, can he get out of range? No, he cannot. 1-for-1 top laners.
Huni
And that's all
once again keeps himself alive thanks to that Glacial Tomb. Pepinera, though, I think he's in trouble. He doesn't know Reignover's yet.
Yep, and he's going to Spirit Rush away. Can he get away, though? That's the question. He tries, and the Bola will pick him up as Reignover gets his first kill of the game.
Giants did so well at reading Fnatic's ganks early, only to start faltering themselves. You saw Werlib and Frederick fail that tower dive onto Huni, overestimating how much damage they had, and maybe overcommitting as well. And then Reignover just with a great timing on that gank in the middle lane, punishes Pepinera, surprising him. They get his flash as well. So Fnatic, just like that, even up the gold to about even. Keep in mind that both towers, bottom and top are available. If Fnatic decide to roam and put pressure on either of those lanes, that's just going to be an instant amount of bank.
Yeah, I was really, after yesterday, impressed with the ability of Shook to do those on-the-hunt flash ganks, but Reignover's covered the same distance without having to use the spell. This guy is looking pretty impressive.
Yeah, and we've seen it before. You know, he did it during week 1, he did it again in week 2, and he's playing Rengar for the 3rd time, and off to another great start. Good pullback, rather. I mean, let's be fair. His first ganks failed, and he overcommitted, but he's pulled it back now. And the one thing that I think Fnatic and Giants are both doing in the vision side, it's defensive. Because there's not actually been a lot of counter jungling and a lot of pressure on your opponent's territory, neither team is getting any of those deep wards down. DeFiscio used the term yesterday, in-warding. Neither team's going into their opponent's jungle to ward, and when they start doing that, we're going to get even more aggressive. Reignover and Frederick both want to be jumping into their opponent's team's faces.
It's definitely an interesting description for it. Now, Reignover, once again thinking about making his move in the middle, but you've got to think at this point Pepinera's been burned at least once, nearly twice. Giants, on the other hand, now looking in the direction of the newly respawned Dragon. They've got the Skullcrab Shrine, but this time Reignover's not going to be caught unaware. They're starting it, though.
Yeah, Yellow starts late to the party. Teleport's available for both top laners. So if a fight were to break out, look to see which carry goes down first. Febiven's in right now.
Teleport, there we go. Oh, they're going to blow up Frederick, and they should be able to take the Dragon. Febiven is going to pick that one up, and the fight is on. Steelback in a little bit of trouble. Rydell with a massive shackles, but it won't even go off. Steelback going to be sacrificed into the pit. Werlib, though, is going to fall as well, and they take him down, and 4 of the members of the Giants, double kill going over to Reignover, and they only give up Steelback for all of that.
That was just a phenomenal team fight from Fnatic. There was no hesitation on the side of Reignover. He came in from the bottom half of the map. I'm 99% sure Steelback was rolling with him. They instantly focused down Frederick, and the moment Frederick was out, Fnatic took the Dragon, and then again focused the damage dealers one by one. Look at the minimap. Yeah, Reignover and Steelback just instantly coming in. Frederick is burst out because he'd taken so much damage from the Dragon and from his previous farming. I actually like the zoning that Rydell was able to put down, but he simply didn't get the stun quickly enough, and it allowed Fnatic to collapse on Giants. Giants wanted to run away, but Fnatic's mobility prevented them doing it, so they got the Dragon and the kills.
I like how they gave that last pick on Steelback, on one of them on Werlib to Reignover in that situation too, get him a little bit extra gold, let him start rolling ahead as well. They're actually splitting the gold quite well, and they're, the kill participation, as per usual, in Fnatic's wins have been pretty good across the board. So they're getting back into that mindset, getting back into that zone. They've got a slight gold lead here, and they've even the Dragons out. It's nicely done for them.
So even the Dragons out, they did trade towers. We just saw in the pip, Giants took out the middle tower from Fnatic, and Huni was able to shove in that top lane to get the top tower down. Bottom from Giants is low. You can actually see a Fnatic ping, so that's going to be their next target. And there's actually some deep wards now in Giants jungle. You can see just above the Wolf camp as well as in that bottom lane. So Fnatic should be able to use that vision to make more informed decisions when pushing the tower down. It's not going to take a lot of investment, and it's going to reward them with a slightly larger gold lead. Fnatic have turned the game around. They are now the ones in control.
Yep. Definitely hanging on to that lead. It is a bit of a small one, but still Fnatic playing with a lot more confidence and a lot more swagger after some big team fight at that Dragon. Reignover now, looking like he wants to go in yet again, although there's a ward right there, so Peppy will be the wiser.
Yeah, the one thing I also want to highlight that I like from Frederick, his first item after completing his jungle enchantment is that Aegis of the Legion. And the reason I like it is just the ridiculous amount of magic damage on the side of Fnatic, with Corki, Cassidy, and Lissandra all being threats. I really like that early pickup. The MR is going to be fantastic. And once he completes that into a locket, the potential to save somebody's life, but Giants can't afford to be in the same position they were at Dragon. They got surprised, they didn't have the vision on the flanks, and they were caught unawares. As long as Giants don't have the information to work with, so many champions from Fnatic can just catch them off guard. And as long as Fnatic are decisive, that's how they can punish Giants again and again.
There is Frederick making his way downtown. Werlib, though, is in some trouble himself. Reignover and Huni. Actually, Huni taken pretty low in this. Werlib will go down, but it looked a bit closer in that one, and they do get the better of the Gnar this time around. Fnatic, no tower to push in here, but they do make the play yet again.
Slowly strangling the life out of Giants' map control. Vision strongly in favor of Fnatic now. You can see those defensive wards from Giants, including 3 pinks. And Fnatic have got some deep vision, especially on the blue buff area of Giants themselves. So Reignover using all that information, getting yet another successful gank. His first few didn't work, but if you have a gank counter, Reignover has now turned all of the bad marks around because his positive marks are over-counted.
And it seems like it started so well for Giants, but the game started to get out of hand for them. Obviously, it's still a bit early to say that, as it's not the hugest lead we've seen Fnatic accumulate at the 20-minute mark. However, they're just not playing the same way they were in the opening minutes of the game. They've started to fall back a little bit. It seems like they're doubting themselves.
Fnatic have gone back to a play style that worked for them in weeks 1 and 2. They tried something quite different yesterday, however, they played it in the same manner. Now they've got champions that work with that play style, that pick heavy, engage heavy comp, and it has worked for them. Slow to start, but they're making up for it. For Fnatic, it's going to be all about finding those kills, using the vision that they've afforded themselves and their engage power. Once they've taken a target out, looking to take out that middle inner turret, with a minute to go on Dragon, you have to think they're going to start setting that up fairly soon. Teleport is just about to come off cooldown for Werlib, so he'll have that available as well. Giants will have the timing on it, so let's see if that's going to be the next big engage.
Looks like we might be waiting till that minute, but Fnatic aren't going to wait that long as they start to generally move towards the direction of that pit. They've got mostly the vision controlled there, but there are a couple of wards that they're missing out on from Giants Gaming. So, with the way that this is looking, this formation for them, they're going to stagger their backs. Huni's going to make his move backwards, but Giants have a small window of opportunity to try and muscle their way in here.
See, again, timing is everything. With 30 seconds on Dragon, Fnatic are grouped up in middle. They've shoved that wave into the turret. Giants are going to start feeling pressure on two fronts. Giants need to defend their mid turret as well as set up vision and try to defend the Dragon Pit because they don't look like they want to just give it up. I think that Fnatic's team fighting is somewhat better as long as they focus the same target. On the side of Giants, there's a little bit less mobility than Fnatic have, and it's going to be a similar story. Gnar needs to try and find stuns. If he can get a multi-man stun against a wall, that's how they can win the team fight. Instant teleport from Huni, and here comes Reignover as well.
Yeah, he's going to try to kick out the back line, and Frederick turns tail onto Reignover. They're already way too low for this one, peeling off the Dragon at a horrible moment. Huni should go down, however, for the Giants, it's looking pretty grim. Knockback in against the wall. Fabivin is going to pop his Zanya's Hourglass. Reignover a little bit low. They finally take down the giant monster Gnar. It is a 3-for-1, and that should be Fnatic Dragon.
This is the sequel to the previous Dragon fight. Fnatic punished Giants again by being more decisive, more coordinated, and just finding the targets one after the other. Giants had vision behind them, but they didn't have the pink wards. They didn't see Reignover coming in. Look at the sides. Take a look at the background. In the river, they've seen Fnatic coming in, and they tried their best to peel, but Fnatic have just got so much damage and so many ways to deal with the Morgana as the only form of disengage. Giants simply couldn't do anything once Fnatic collapsed on them.
Dragon Fight 2, The Reckoning. By Trevor Quickshot Henry. Yeah, that was really just deja vu in that situation. And you could see that their slow reaction time was really hurting them there. Frederick took about a second and a half to move off the Dragon after most of his team was already half health. So Fnatic, again, they didn't just get a pick, they picked the entire team practically.
Yeah, and you know, you contrast this level of engagement from Fnatic to yesterday against Unicorns of Love, and there's two things that happen. Number one, Fnatic is pulling off better fights. They are picking their engages, they're picking their targets, they're landing their skill shots more effectively than they were yesterday. But on the same token, Giants are not responding. Oh, Huni's got in.
Yep, they found Frederick and they blow him up. Looking for Pepinero as well. Reignover jumping over, and everybody is there. The Spirit Rush can't save you. Pepinero, Steelback grabbing that one like that, a 1-2. How do you do? That's going to be a tower as well.
I'm going to quote myself from week one. Go ham or go home. And that's what Fnatic are doing again. They're finding their targets. Giants do not know how to respond to this level of aggression. They didn't have the expectation that the dive was coming. If you look at Fnatic's, at Giants' vision in that river area, there's some deep wards in Fnatic jungle, there's some wards up by their red buff, which have just been cleared out, and there was nothing by the Wraith Camp. So Giants didn't have the information to work with, they shouldn't have been in that choke point, and that's why they got jumped on. Fnatic started off Baron. This is against 3 members of the Giants who are fairly close by, and Werlid, he wants to fight.
Also, this could be a 5v4. Baron incredibly low. They're all taken low down. It's going to be picked up. The Monsoon comes out to keep them alive. Werlib is going to be sacrificed, but that's not all. Fabivin chasing forward. Soul Shackles. It is never going to be enough when there's that much damage. Fabivin still chasing out Audrey. Throws down a Null Sphere. Backs away. They get 2 more. They get the Baron. How can Giants just stem the blood flow that's coming out right now?
I don't think they can anymore. They had the opportunity earlier. Look at the just decisiveness. Again, vision is not in favor of Giants. And the speed at which Fnatic can find targets, this is the most impressive part. 3 targets over the wall. Reignover flash, Huni flash, Steelback, Velx, and the 3rd flash to follow it up. Fnatic knew with those kills, they could get objectives. They got a tower, they got a Baron, and Fnatic are just playing a lot more aggressively and effectively than they did yesterday. Giants don't have the vision or the capability to counter. Pepinero's in trouble.
Once again, yeah, already very low, and this is the Fnatic playstyle that we've been used to from the first 2 weeks. This is also the comp that really makes it work. If anything, they haven't needed, you mentioned Yellowstar's not on this hard engage support, but they haven't needed it at all. And to be honest, having that tailwind movement speed increase has helped this team that's already incredibly mobile, has these amazing amount of gap close and escape abilities, even faster, and they're just playing at a speed that the Giants can't match.
Yeah, and I want to quote the pre-match video that we actually heard. Giants were talking about the meta and how engaged supports are favored. Yes, they are, but if you have the engaged potential in your other lanes, you can play a disengaged support like Janna and still get away with it. Giants simply have not had the same reply to Fnatic that Unicorns of Love did yesterday, mostly because of positioning on the map. and that was affected by their fairly limited vision. They've had good wards, but in the wrong places.
This time they've had everything in the right places, though. About 10,000 gold, a little bit under that ahead of the Giants, so maybe 2 more minutes till that Dragon, but they've got the Baron buff for a little while now, and they can just start stretching Giants gaming across every lane.
1-3-1. You've got Huni pushing bottom, you've got Featherman pushing top. They can respond to the middle lane relatively quickly. The rest of Fnatic's forces grouping up. So Huni with teleport available will be able to join a fight. He's also got distortion boots on his upgrade, so TPs and flashes coming regularly. Pipinir is alone in this bush. If he doesn't blow somebody up or run away, he's actually the one that could get chunked down.
Yeah, he could be in some danger. Doesn't actually go in when he sees Steelback. They're actually going to force it right now. Waits just a moment. The charm is on at point-blank range. There's the shutdown as Steelback wanders too close to the trap. Can Giants make something out of it? Reignover is going to try to run interference, but he is just isolated from his team. And after quite some time, a double kill comes out, and they manage to get the shutdown.
Again, Fnatic just overconfident. They did this yesterday as well. Their early game lead they built up against Unicorns of Love caught them out. Fnatic overextended that push. I think all of Fnatic were peeling down into the jungle, and Steelback overestimated the power of his Valkyrie. He face-checked, found a nine-tailed fox, and then found himself back on the summoner platform.
I really like the patience from Pepinero there. He didn't even throw the charm out until it was way too late for Steelback to try to get involved.
Now Giants, despite the fact that they're pushing middle, this is a bad call because look at the top and bottom waves. It's pushing against Giants' turrets and bases. Yes, the top lane will reset shortly, but Giants needed to have got control of those side lanes and then push down. Yes, they got 2 kills. It hasn't changed much in the big picture because Fnatic did not lose objectives. They didn't really even lose map presence, and they didn't even lose control of their jungle because Giants got no wards down at all.
Yeah, they got a little bit one-track minded in that situation. Dragon's going to respawn here. However, they have got a little bit more footing. They've got some more gold to work with. It may not be a lot, but at this point, you need to just slow the pace down of this game if you're Giants. Well, there also is the scaling factor to watch out for, but the problem is Fnatic was just starting to run away with it. Now they've slowed him to a jog.
I think they've done way more than that. They've got a 10,000 gold lead, had a Baron, and a 3rd Dragon. I think for Giants, they're looking for a miracle now. They're looking for 2 or 3 more times for Fnatic to face-check a Pepinero-powered Death Bush. But I don't think they'll make that same mistake again and again. Fnatic have at least learned that Giants were onto their playstyle, and now, if you look at Fnatic's vision, every time they push up the map, they're getting some deep wards, they're getting control of Giants' jungle, and it's just a matter of time until Huni teleports in from behind or Reignover rushes in with Thrill of the Hunt. And Fnatic doing well at pushing these side lanes. This is one thing that I think they have shown as growth, something they didn't do against Roccat, which is why that game went particularly long. I want to see if Fnatic can take towers doing that, though, because that's something we haven't seen them do often either.
Yeah, the 1-3-1's definitely working quite well to draw pressure from enemy teams. However, as you mentioned, they haven't been able to really grab anything directly from it, but here we go. We'll have another fight right now as Reignover finds Frederick, who actually goes a little bit far forward with Flash Shield on, taken extremely low, flashing away, burning, and he will go down with the rocket as Steelback goes right on in forward, up in the top side. Adri is going to get popped, and Bridal will as well. The Monsoon for the sustain. Every member of Giants is melting. Whirlib is not going to be long for this map, and even the red buff helped out there. Reignover with a triple kill. And the 8s.
Reignover hops, he skips, he jumps, he leaps on everyone. 9, 3, and 8 on this Rengar. I don't know why he plays anything else. Phenomenal team fight for Fnatic. I said for Giants, they need a Pepinero-powered Death Bush. A Frederick-powered Death Bush will result in his own death. It didn't work out. Giants underestimated how many members of Fnatic were around once again because they didn't have the vision, and this is going to mean Fnatic get an inhibitor as well.
Quite so. 31 minutes into the game, inhibitor number 1 is going to go down. Frederick trying to buy some time for the rest of his team to get there. They do have the knock-up inhibitor, will fall. Reignover at half health, but they're going to walk it out anyways. And they're going to keep trying to catch on this one. Frederick still in the front, can't quite close the gap just yet. And the Bola will finally Well, maybe not yet. They're still going.
If Giants commit here, there's the possibility Fnatic to turn. Keep in mind, Febiven and Steelback are not there. If Fnatic get close enough to one or two of those guys, that's where some extra damage can come down. Huni had his ultimate available, but Yellow Star, with that passive movement speed, is going to allow him and his teammates to get away from Giants.
Yeah, they weren't really able to do much there. Now, they are going to try this Baron. This just feels like a desperation attempt. It's such a risky maneuver right now with all the members of Fnatic in the area. Pepinero around the side, gonna not give as good as he takes, flashing away. He can't quite escape because Febiven is on the chase, and with the force pulse, takes him down. Meanwhile, back at the Baron pit, it's not looking much better. Rainover picking up a rampage kill, a double, goes over to Steelback. This is their Baron. Get out of their pit.
Fnatic ace, Giants secure their second Baron, and they're gonna take the win. That was a very, very strong reply. I do think Giants had a decent laning phase. They were showing they could respond to Fnatic's aggression, but unfortunately, they couldn't keep that level of play up. Fnatic are on the Nexus.
Yeah, desperation maneuvers for Giants didn't quite work out. A massive snowballed lead for Fnatic, and they have certainly brushed the dust off of their one loss. 5-1 on the score.
Beautifully executed. Rainover and Huni. Massive smiles. In stark contrast to the looks of shock and awe yesterday. It's hard to fault that performance. I think there was some overcommitments from Fnatic and fairly predictable play in the laning phase. The fact that Giants turned around 2-3 ganks and punished Fnatic for it is actually a testament that Fnatic are fairly predictable, fairly readable. But unfortunately, Giants just didn't have the level of play or vision to counter just the incredible amount of aggression that Fnatic were putting on the map.
Yeah, and when they get even just a little bit, they roll with it so fast, so hard. You can hear the crowd just loving this Fnatic squad, who have really made a name for themselves, stepping into the big shoes of the former Fnatic squad. Now this time led by Yellowstar, of course. Really, really relief on those faces. And honestly, you're right, they are a bit predictable. However, you can't outfight them, at least not 5/6 of the time.
I personally think what Fnatic does, they do phenomenal. They play their pick comp, they play their aggressive game on a level that is not easily matched. My only fear is against teams like Unicorns of Love, against teams like SK, against teams like Elements, who may have more understanding of how to play against that level of aggression. I don't know if it's going to hold up. Amazing said it, one-dimensional. I share the opinion. I think